Behind the laughter of this groundbreaking sitcom lay secrets that would shock even Bernie Mac himself. From a creator fired by his own network to child stars whose careers took wildly unexpected turns, and from Bernie's real-life health struggles that nearly ended the show to the bizarre inspiration behind its revolutionary filming style, The Bernie Mac Show hid some of television's most surprising behind-the-scenes stories that reveal how this beloved family comedy was anything but ordinary. Fact 1. Creator fired from his own show. Larry Wilmore experienced one of Hollywood's most unusual career twists when he was fired from his own creation during the second season of The Bernie Mac Show. Wilmore had not only created the groundbreaking sitcom, but had also won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a comedy series for the pilot episode in 2002, making him the first black writer to achieve this honor in television history. The trouble began in fall 2002, when The Bernie Mac Show was scheduled directly against Damon Wayans' comedy My Wife and Kids on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Fox executives watched nervously as their show struggled to compete in the ratings battle, and the network's patience quickly wore thin. Despite the show's critical acclaim and prestigious awards, including a Peabody Award, Fox executives made the shocking decision to remove Wilmore from his own creation. The official reason given by Fox was that they weren't happy with the show's direction under Wilmore's leadership during the second season, with network executives claiming the show wasn't delivering enough laughs. This criticism came as a particular blow to Wilmore, who had crafted a unique comedy that broke traditional sitcom rules by focusing on genuine family dynamics and emotional storytelling rather than rapid-fire punchlines. In later interviews, Wilmore revealed the real reasons behind his dismissal went much deeper than laugh counts. He explained that he had grown fed up with Fox's constant creative interference in the show's production, with network executives regularly demanding changes that went against his vision for the series. Even more frustrating for Wilmore was Fox's habit of constantly shuffling the show around the television schedule, making it difficult for audiences to find and follow the series consistently. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on industry observers, as Wilmore had created a show that would go on to win multiple NAACP Image Awards and maintain a devoted fan base long after its conclusion, proving that his original vision had been correct all along. Fact 2. Inspired by a Victorian reality show. The Bernie Mac Show's groundbreaking visual style came from an unexpected source that had nothing to do with comedy or television sitcoms. Creator Larry Wilmore drew his inspiration from a British reality series called 1900 House that aired on PBS, where real families volunteered to live exactly as people did in the year 1900, complete with period clothing, technology, and social rules. Wilmore was fascinated by how the cameras in 1900 House were strategically placed throughout the Victorian-era home, allowing viewers to observe the family's daily struggles and genuine emotions without the typical interference of a television production crew. The cameras captured raw, unfiltered moments as family members dealt with the challenges of living without modern conveniences, creating an intimate viewing experience that felt like peeking into someone's actual life. This observation led Wilmore to a revolutionary idea for his own show, as he later explained in interviews. He wanted to create a sitcom where audiences felt like they were observing the McCullough family rather than watching actors perform scripted comedy routines. Instead of the traditional bright studio lighting and obvious three-wall sets that dominated most family sitcoms, Wilmore chose to film The Bernie Mac Show with moody, cinematic lighting and natural camera angles that made viewers feel like they were secretly watching a real family navigate their daily chaos. The influence of 1900 House extended beyond just the visual style, as Wilmore also incorporated the reality show's approach to capturing authentic family dynamics. Rather than relying on rapid-fire jokes and exaggerated reactions, The Bernie Mac Show focused on genuine behavioral moments between Bernie and the children, allowing the comedy to emerge naturally from real family situations. This documentary-inspired approach was so unusual for sitcoms at the time that it helped The Bernie Mac Show stand out dramatically from other family comedies on television, creating a viewing experience that felt more like watching a real family than a scripted television show. Fact 3. Production shutdown for Bernie's mystery illness. The Bernie Mac show faced an unexpected crisis during its fourth season when production suddenly shut down for 8 weeks due to Bernie Mac's serious illness, though the full truth about his condition wouldn't be revealed until years later. In October 2004, just 1 month after the fourth season had begun filming, Bernie Mac was hospitalized with what was initially diagnosed as a severe case of pneumonia that left him unable to work. The show's cast and crew were told that Bernie needed time to recover from his lung infection, and Fox executives made the difficult decision to halt all production activities rather than attempt to film episodes without their star. During this 8-week period, the entire production team remained on standby while Bernie focused on getting his health back on track, with everyone hoping he would return to his normal, energetic self. When filming resumed in January 2005, Bernie appeared to have recovered and was able to complete the fourth season, though some observant viewers later noticed that his weight seemed to fluctuate between episodes during the later seasons of the show. At the time, these changes were attributed to the stress of his demanding work schedule and the natural effects of aging. But the reality was much more serious than anyone realized. What the public didn't know was that Bernie Mac had been secretly battling sarcoidosis, a rare autoimmune disease that causes inflammation in various organs throughout the body, particularly the lungs. This condition had likely been affecting Bernie for years before his pneumonia diagnosis, and the lung infection that shut down production was actually a complication of his underlying sarcoidosis rather than a standalone illness. Bernie Mac had publicly disclosed his sarcoidosis diagnosis during the final 20 years of his life, but many people didn't understand the serious nature of this disease or how it connected to his earlier health struggles during the show's production. The pneumonia that forced the production shutdown was an early warning sign of the autoimmune condition that would eventually lead to his death in August 2008. Fact 4. Real-life niece inspired the story. The Bernie Mac show's central premise of a comedian suddenly taking in his sister's children wasn't just a clever fictional setup created for television, but was actually rooted in Bernie Mac's real-life experiences with family members who needed his help. Years before the show ever existed, Bernie Mac had opened his home to his real-life niece Toya, who was struggling as an at-risk youth, along with her young daughter Monique, providing them with stability during a difficult period in their lives. This personal experience became the foundation for one of Bernie Mac's most popular stand-up comedy routines, where he would tell audiences about the challenges and unexpected joys of suddenly becoming a parental figure to children who weren't his own. Bernie would describe the culture shock of going from a childless household to dealing with the daily chaos of young people, turning his real-life struggles into comedy gold that resonated with audiences who had faced similar family situations. When Bernie Mac performed this routine as part of the original Kings of Comedy tour and the subsequent film in 2000, the material caught the attention of television producers who recognized the potential for a sitcom based on these experiences. The routine was so compelling and authentic that it became the direct inspiration for the Bernie Mac show's pilot episode, which showed Bernie Mac's fictional character taking in his sister's 3 children after she enters rehabilitation. However, the show's creators didn't stop with just Bernie's story, as they also incorporated experiences from other real-life situations to make the premise even more authentic. According to the show's background information, the storyline was actually a blend of 2 real incidents, combining Bernie Mac's experience with his niece Toya and her daughter with another situation where a friend of Bernie's had to raise her sister's children on a long-term basis. This blending of real-life experiences with Bernie Mac's established comedy material gave the Bernie Mac show an emotional authenticity that many family sitcoms lack, since the situations portrayed on screen were based on actual challenges that Bernie and people close to him had genuinely faced. Fact 5. Child star's $1 million OnlyFans career. Camille Winbush, who played the sassy teenage daughter Vanessa on The Bernie Mac Show, stunned fans in February 2021 when she announced that she had joined the adult subscription platform OnlyFans, marking one of the most unexpected career pivots by a former child star in recent memory. Winbush, who was 34 years old at the time of her announcement, had been largely absent from mainstream entertainment for several years before making this controversial decision that sent shockwaves through social media. The actress was surprisingly open about her financial motivations for joining the platform, explaining in multiple interviews that her residual payments from the Bernie Mac show had steadily decreased over the nearly 20 years since the show ended in 2006. Winbush pointed out that while actors from hugely successful shows like Friends continue to receive substantial residual checks decades later, her payments from a show she appeared on as a 12-year-old were no longer sufficient to maintain her lifestyle as an adult. In a February 2023 social media post defending her decision, Winbush revealed that she had earned a couple mil in less than 2 years from her OnlyFans content, demonstrating just how financially successful her career change had become. She emphasized that her content featured minimal nudity and was more comparable to what might appear in magazines like Maxim, rather than explicit adult material. When critics suggested that Bernie Mac would be disappointed in her choices, Winbush firmly pushed back against these comments, stating that Bernie was not rolling over in his grave and that people outside the entertainment industry had no place to judge her decisions. She also highlighted her clean personal record, noting that she had never been arrested, never used drugs, had no children from multiple relationships, and consistently paid her taxes. Winbush's OnlyFans venture sparked widespread debate about former child stars, financial security in the entertainment industry, and the changing landscape of how performers can monetize their fame in the digital age. Fact 6. Jeremy Suarez's construction career twist. Jeremy Suarez, who played the nerdy and mischievous Jordan on The Bernie Mac Show, made the surprising decision to leave Hollywood behind after the show ended and pursue what he called regular jobs in various industries, leading to one of the most ironic career coincidences in television history. After spending 5 years as a child actor on one of Fox's most popular sitcoms, Suarez chose to step away from the entertainment industry in 2020 to focus on building a more traditional career path. During a candid interview with Comedy Hype, Suarez revealed that he had worked in several different fields after leaving acting, including construction work where he learned hands-on building skills, various positions in the food service industry, and eventually landing a job at the telecommunications giant AT&T. The irony of this career move wasn't lost on fans of The Bernie Mac Show, since his fictional television aunt Wanda McCullough, played by Kalita Smith, worked as a vice president at AT&T throughout the series. This real-life connection between Suarez's actual job and his character's family situation created an amusing parallel that seemed too coincidental to be anything other than fate. On the show, Wanda's executive position at AT&T was often mentioned as a source of stability and success for the McCullough household, making it particularly fitting that Suarez would end up working for the same company that employed his fictional family member. Suarez explained that his decision to leave Hollywood wasn't driven by any negative experiences, but rather by a desire to experience life outside the entertainment bubble and develop skills in other industries. The Illinois native had been acting since childhood, appearing in shows like Sister, and The Wayans Bros, before landing his breakout role on The Bernie Mac Show, so stepping away from acting represented a major life change. Despite his shift to traditional employment, Suarez has indicated that he intends to return to Hollywood eventually, but for now he remains focused on sharing his ordinary life experiences with his social media followers while working his regular job. Fact 7. Bernie's obsessive White Sox dedication. Bernie Mac's love for the Chicago White Sox went far beyond typical fan devotion, reaching such intense levels that he actually used his hit television show as a platform to publicly celebrate his team's historic 2005 World Series victory. Growing up on Chicago's South Side, Bernie Mac had been a lifelong White Sox supporter, and his passion for the team became so well known that he regularly found ways to sneak references to his favorite baseball club into episodes of The Bernie Mac Show. During the 2005 season, when the White Sox were making their incredible run toward their first World Series championship since 1917, Bernie Mac's excitement reached fever-pitch levels that couldn't be contained within the normal boundaries of his television character. When the White Sox finally clinched the World Series title, Bernie Mac made the unprecedented decision to break character and address his television audience directly as himself, rather than as his fictional character. In this special moment that aired during the 2005 to 2006 season, Bernie Mac appeared on camera wearing an official Chicago White Sox jacket and cap, delivering a heartfelt congratulatory message to the baseball organization and all of its staff members for achieving their historic championship victory. This wasn't just a casual mention or a quick reference worked into a regular episode, but rather a deliberate and emotional tribute that Bernie Mac felt compelled to share with his national television audience. Bernie Mac's dedication to the White Sox extended beyond just this televised tribute, as he was actually spotted attending Game 1 of the World Series in person, sitting in a front-row seat to witness his beloved team's championship moment firsthand. Throughout the show's run, he would often convince White Sox players to make guest appearances, including getting then-pitcher John Garland to appear in a cameo role on the series. This level of team devotion was so intense that it became part of Bernie Mac's public persona, with his White Sox fandom being just as well known as his comedy career among Chicago residents and baseball fans across the country. Fact 8. The mystery of Bernie's fluctuating weight. Dedicated fans of The Bernie Mac Show who watched the series closely during its later seasons began noticing something unusual about Bernie Mac's appearance that would later take on tragic significance when viewed in hindsight. Throughout the 4th and 5th seasons, particularly toward the end of the series, Bernie Mac's weight appeared to fluctuate dramatically between individual episodes, sometimes showing noticeable changes from one week to the next that seemed impossible to achieve through normal diet or exercise. These weight changes were so pronounced that some viewers commented on them in online forums and fan discussions, wondering if Bernie Mac was dealing with health issues, or if the episodes were being filmed out of order and then aired in a different sequence. At the time, most people assumed that the fluctuations were simply the result of Bernie Mac's busy work schedule, the stress of carrying a hit television show, or perhaps the natural effects of aging as he moved through his 40s. However, what audiences didn't realize was that these dramatic weight changes were likely connected to Bernie Mac's secret battle with sarcoidosis, the autoimmune disease that he had publicly disclosed but that many people didn't fully understand. Sarcoidosis causes inflammation throughout the body and often requires treatment with powerful steroid medications that can cause rapid weight gain and loss as side effects. The steroid treatments commonly used to manage sarcoidosis symptoms can cause patients to experience significant weight fluctuations over relatively short periods of time, which would explain the dramatic changes that viewers noticed in Bernie Mac's appearance between episodes. These medications can cause the body to retain fluid and gain weight quickly, and then lose that weight just as rapidly when dosages are adjusted or when treatment cycles change. Looking back at these episodes, with the knowledge of Bernie Mac's health condition, the weight fluctuations serve as a visible reminder of the serious medical challenges he was facing, while continuing to deliver comedic performances that brought joy to millions of viewers who had no idea about his ongoing health struggles behind the scenes. Fact 9. Historic Emmy win for Black writers. Larry Wilmore achieved a groundbreaking milestone in television history when he became the first Black writer to win an Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a comedy series at the 54th Emmy Awards ceremony in 2002. This historic victory came specifically for his work on the Bernie Mac Show pilot episode, which had premiered just months earlier and immediately established itself as a unique voice in television comedy. The significance of Wilmore's Emmy win extended far beyond just personal recognition, as it represented a major breakthrough in an industry that had historically lacked diversity among its most prestigious award recipients. Prior to 2002, no Black writer had ever received this particular Emmy category. Despite the contributions of countless talented writers who had worked on comedy series throughout television's history, Wilmore's winning pilot script was notable for its innovative approach to family sitcom storytelling, combining Bernie Mac's authentic stand-up comedy material with a documentary-style format that broke traditional television rules. The pilot successfully introduced audiences to Bernie Mac's character, taking in his sister's 3 children, while maintaining the comedian's distinctive voice and perspective throughout the episode. The Emmy recognition was particularly meaningful because it honored not just Wilmore's individual achievement, but also validated the Bernie Mac show's unique creative approach, at a time when many network executives were unsure about the show's unconventional format. The pilot script had to balance Bernie Mac's edgy comedy style with family-friendly television requirements while establishing the show's signature technique of having Bernie speak directly to the audience. This Emmy victory came during the same year that the Bernie Mac show was collecting other major honors, including the prestigious Peabody Award for Excellence in Broadcasting and Recognition from the Television Critics Association. Wilmore's historic win helped establish the Bernie Mac show as a critical success story and paved the way for greater recognition of Black writers in television comedy, though progress in diversifying Emmy winners would continue to be a slow process in the years that followed. Fact 10. Kelita Smith's animal phobia pranks. Bernie Mac's love of practical jokes reached its peak when he discovered that his television wife Kelita Smith had an intense phobia of rodents, leading to a series of elaborate pranks that became legendary among the Bernie Mac show cast and crew. Smith, who played the intelligent and composed Wanda McCullough on the series, maintained her professional demeanor in front of the cameras, but had one major weakness that Bernie Mac couldn't resist exploiting for his own amusement. The discovery of Smith's fear happened during the filming of a second-season episode that featured real snakes and mice as pets for the children's characters. Smith later recalled that if the producers had added cockroaches to the mix of animals on set, she would have quit the show immediately, demonstrating just how serious her animal phobias were. During the filming of this particular episode, Smith tried her best to hide her disgust and fear while working with the live animals, but she admitted that she probably didn't do a very good job of concealing her discomfort. Bernie Mac, always observant and mischievous, noticed Smith's reaction and immediately saw an opportunity for ongoing entertainment. When it came time for a break during filming, Smith quickly escaped to her dressing room to get away from the animals, but Bernie Mac had already begun plotting his revenge. He told the entire crew to watch what would happen next, predicting that Smith would react dramatically to his planned surprise. When Smith returned to the set for the next take, Bernie Mac approached her under the pretense of showing her something different about the scene. He then grabbed her hand while secretly holding something furry in his palm, causing Smith to panic without even looking to see what the object actually was. Bernie Mac would often comment that Smith acted like she was sophisticated and proper, but that her reactions to his rodent pranks revealed her true personality. These practical jokes became so frequent and elaborate that they turned into a regular form of entertainment for the entire production team, with Bernie Mac constantly finding new ways to surprise Smith with fake rats and mice. Fact 11. Celebrity cameo explosion strategy. The Bernie Mac show featured an extraordinarily high number of A-list celebrity guest appearances compared to other family sitcoms of its era. And this wasn't just luck or Bernie Mac's personal connections, but rather a brilliant strategic decision built into the show's very foundation. The writers and producers cleverly used Bernie Mac's character as a famous stand-up comedian to create a natural and believable reason for major celebrities to appear on the show as themselves, making these cameos feel organic rather than forced or gimmicky. This storytelling approach allowed the show to attract an impressive roster of major stars who might not have appeared on a typical family sitcom, including Oscar winner Matt Damon, rapper and actor Ice Cube, basketball superstar Shaquille O'Neal, boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard, talk show host Ellen DeGeneres, and Academy Award winner Halle Berry. The list of celebrity guests also included Chris Rock, Don Cheadle, Angela Bassett, Billy Crystal, Carl Reiner, Don Rickles, Wesley Snipes, Charles Barkley, Ashton Kutcher, and many others from various entertainment fields. The genius of this celebrity cameo strategy was that it never felt out of place for these famous people to interact with Bernie Mac's character, since his fictional version was also a successful comedian who would naturally move in celebrity circles and attend industry events. When Matt Damon appeared on the show, for example, it was believable that he would know Bernie Mac professionally, and when Shaquille O'Neal showed up, it made sense that a famous comedian might cross paths with a famous athlete. These celebrity appearances weren't just brief walk-on roles either, as many of the guest stars were integrated into actual storylines that connected to Bernie Mac's parenting challenges or his career as a performer. Ice Cube appeared in an episode where Bernie Mac had to retrieve his niece's lost doll during a midnight adventure, while other celebrities would often provide commentary or advice during Bernie Mac's signature moments when he spoke directly to the television audience. This approach helped The Bernie Mac Show stand out from other family comedies and gave it a unique entertainment value that attracted viewers who wanted to see which famous person might show up next. Fact 12. Show filmed like a movie. The Bernie Mac Show revolutionized the visual landscape of television comedy by abandoning the traditional bright studio lighting and static camera setups that dominated most sitcoms in favor of a cinematic approach that made the series look more like a feature film than a typical family comedy. While most sitcoms of the early 2000s were still being filmed on obviously artificial three-walled sets with harsh, overlit environments that clearly screamed television studio, The Bernie Mac Show used moody lighting, natural shadows, and dynamic camera angles that created a much more sophisticated and realistic visual experience. This cinematic filming style was part of Larry Wilmore's vision to make viewers feel like they were observing a real family rather than watching actors perform on a television set, and the technical execution of this concept required a completely different approach to production than what audiences were accustomed to seeing in family sitcoms. The show utilized single-camera filming techniques instead of the multi-camera setup that was standard for most comedies, allowing for more creative shot compositions and the kind of intimate close-ups that would be impossible with traditional sitcom filming methods. The Bernie Mac Show was part of a small but influential group of comedies that pioneered this single-camera format during the early 2000s. Alongside shows like Malcolm in the Middle and Scrubs, which also premiered around the same time and helped establish a new visual standard for television comedy. This filming approach allowed The Bernie Mac Show to create a more immersive viewing experience where the comedy emerged naturally from realistic situations rather than from obvious setup and punchline structures. The success of The Bernie Mac Show's cinematic approach helped pave the way for later single-camera comedies that would eventually dominate television, including shows like The Office, Arrested Development, and Modern Family, all of which adopted similar visual techniques that prioritized realism and natural lighting over the artificial brightness of traditional studio sitcoms. This shift in filming style represented a major evolution in how television comedies could look and feel, making them more visually sophisticated and emotionally engaging for audiences. Fact 13. Bernie's rat-phobic revenge pranks. Jeremy Suarez, who played the mischievous Jordan on The Bernie Mac Show, discovered that Bernie Mac had his own secret fear that could be exploited for revenge pranks, leading to some of the most memorable behind-the-scenes moments during the show's production. While Bernie Mac was busy terrorizing his television wife Kalita Smith with fake rodents, Suarez learned that the comedian himself was actually terrified of rats, creating the perfect opportunity for the young actor to turn the tables on his television uncle. Suarez had a real pet rat on the set during filming, which he used as the centerpiece for his elaborate pranking scheme against Bernie Mac. The young actor would deliberately approach Bernie Mac while pretending that his pet rat was hidden somewhere in his pocket, building up the suspense before making his move. To execute the actual prank, Suarez would secretly ball up pieces of tissue paper in his pocket and then suddenly reach out to touch Bernie Mac with the crumpled paper, creating the sensation that a small furry creature was making contact with the unsuspecting comedian. Bernie Mac's reactions to these fake rat encounters were so dramatic and intense that they became a source of ongoing entertainment for the entire cast and crew. According to Suarez, Bernie Mac would immediately scream and yell whenever he felt what he thought was the rat touching him, often shouting threats about what he would do to the creature if Suarez didn't get it away from him immediately. Bernie Mac's typical response involved threatening to throw it, while demanding that Suarez remove the supposed rat from his vicinity. The irony of this prank war wasn't lost on anyone involved in the production, since Bernie Mac was simultaneously terrifying Kalita Smith with his own rodent-based practical jokes. while being completely vulnerable to the same type of fear-based humor from his young co-star. This created a continuous cycle of pranks on the Bernie Mac show, set where the adults and children were constantly trying to outdo each other with increasingly creative ways to exploit each other's phobias and fears for their own amusement. Fact 14. The show's delayed premiere drama. The Bernie Mac show faced a significant setback in 2003 when Fox made the controversial decision to postpone the third season premiere, which had been scheduled to begin on October 29th, in favor of promoting their brand-new teen drama series, The OC. This scheduling change revealed how dramatically Fox's programming priorities had shifted away from their established comedy hits toward newer shows that the network believed had greater potential for capturing younger audiences and generating buzz. The postponement was particularly frustrating for fans of the Bernie Mac show because the series had built up considerable momentum during its first 2 seasons, winning prestigious awards including an Emmy and a Peabody Award, while establishing itself as one of Fox's most critically acclaimed comedies. The show had also developed a loyal following that was eagerly anticipating the return of Bernie Mac and his television family, making the sudden delay feel like a betrayal of the audience's investment in the series. Fox's decision to prioritize The OC over the Bernie Mac show demonstrated the network's belief that the glossy teen drama set in wealthy Orange County, California, would attract the kind of young, affluent viewers that advertisers were most eager to reach. The OC represented everything that Fox thought would be successful in the new television landscape of the early 2000s, with its focus on attractive young actors, romantic storylines, and the lifestyle aspirations of affluent teenagers. The contrast between the two shows couldn't have been more stark, as the Bernie Mac show was a grounded family comedy that dealt with real-world parenting challenges and featured predominantly black characters, while The OC was a fantasy-driven drama about privileged white teenagers living in one of America's wealthiest communities. This programming decision reflected broader industry trends, where networks were increasingly chasing demographic targets rather than focusing on the overall quality or cultural significance of their programming. The postponement also highlighted the precarious position that even successful shows could find themselves in when network executives decided to chase new trends rather than supporting their existing hits. Fact 15. Both child actresses created OnlyFans. In one of the most unexpected developments in the Bernie Mac show's post-series history, both Dee Dee Davis and Camille Winbush, who played the sisters Brianna and Vanessa on the show, independently decided to create OnlyFans accounts as adults, leading to a storm of controversy that neither actress had anticipated when they made their career decisions. The coincidence of both former child stars from the same television family choosing the same adult platform created an unusual situation that amplified the public attention and criticism directed toward their choices. Dee Dee Davis, who had played the youngest and most innocent character on the Bernie Mac show as Little Brianna, joined OnlyFans sometime after Camille Winbush had already established her presence on the platform. When fans discovered that both actresses were creating content on the subscription-based site, the revelation sparked intense debate on social media about child stars, financial pressures in the entertainment industry, and the long-term effects of early fame on young performers. The criticism directed toward both women was swift and harsh, with many fans expressing disappointment that the actresses who had played Bernie Mac's beloved television nieces were now involved in adult content creation. Some critics went so far as to suggest that Bernie Mac himself would be ashamed of their decisions, leading both Davis and Winbush to publicly defend not only their own choices, but also each other's right to make independent career decisions as adult women. Camille Winbush became particularly vocal in defending both herself and Dee Dee Davis against online trolls who attacked them for their OnlyFans involvement. In February 2023, Winbush posted a strong statement on social media defending their choices and pointing out that neither woman had ever been arrested, used drugs, or engaged in other genuinely problematic behaviors that would warrant public criticism. The fact that both actresses ended up on the same platform highlighted broader issues about the financial realities facing former child stars, as both women explained that their residual payments from The Bernie Mac Show had diminished significantly over the nearly 20 years since the series ended, forcing them to find alternative income sources.